might know, the number of British citizens living in Spain is the biggest in any other country in Europe, with 400,000 residents, legal residents in Spain, and we estimate from 600 to 800,000 swallows, people who come and go. More than 1 million Britons have properties in Spain, and we receive annually, before COVID, we received nearly 19 million tourists in a single year, which is a fifth of all our tourism sector. So that is on the human side. On culture, on the arts, gastronomy, you know, it is really a great relation with our artists, with our cooks, with our writers, moving fluidly between the two countries. And on the economic side, we are consistently in the top 5 trading partners and investment partners. So a great relation.
So what do we buy from you? What are the big imports into the UK from Spain?
Well, tons of things and a lot of machinery, but of course we are the #1 supplier of food to the UK. So we have got to take.
We've needed that lately.
We have to take credit for all the good vegetables here, and also when there is a scarcity of tomatoes, I suppose we have to take responsibility too. And of course we export some of the most durable lettuces in the United Kingdom.
I would have loved to see the inside of the diplomatic bags over recent years. Maybe they got a bit squishy at some points. Let's do the tough question. We've got a little rock that you would like back, and that comes up as a thorn in our side again and again. Do you think there's any way you'll negotiate an agreement over that, or that's always going to be one of those perennial problems?
Well, as you know, we did already negotiate an agreement to deal civilizedly with Gibraltar, which is very close to our hearts, it is true, in the withdrawal agreement, which included a Gibraltar protocol, and we signed memorandums and a fiscal treaty to ease the transition. We are now in the process of negotiating a more permanent treaty. It's not easy, it's difficult because there is a lot of history, but we are doing it in the best possible faith, and the British government also is negotiating in very good faith, and our Gibraltarian friends who are involved in the negotiation are also deep in it and trying to get a deal that is good for everybody, a 21st century deal that thinks primarily of the people in the region, of shared and enhanced prosperity, and not on aggression and you know, counting feet of earth like some other people in Europe now.
And tell me, when you read the UK papers, what do you think of the coverage of Spain? There was another story that kicked up a couple of weeks ago saying that you know, the people in the Tenerife, in the Canary Islands, no longer wanted British tourists. Do you just laugh when you see these stories, or do you think, too true, we could do with a few less of those rascals British tourists coming your way?
I think that people in Spain absolutely enjoy British tourism. As I said, we get along very well. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 400,000 people living here in residence in the UK, 300,000 in the vicinity of London. A lot of talent, a lot of young people who have found opportunities here, who enjoy living and working in the UK. There are, Andrew, problems with tourism everywhere when you really have got to be sustainable. We've got our tourism councillor here somewhere, and hola, and we are making an effort already in Spain to ensure sustainability. There are certain places which are near saturation point, like the Balearic Islands in the summer, and I'm sure that to have a good experience, everybody, and the tourists themselves, they are the first that want it, want to have sustainability and don't want to overwhelm the places that they visit.
Now, before we talk about the book, and we talk a bit more about Spain today, tell me your connection with the UK. You started coming here to Nottingham, of all places, when you started coming to school in the UK.
Well, I first came here when I was 12 with my mum, And you know, we were three brothers, and the two other brothers were left back home. So I had my mother when I was 12 for a whole week here in London, and I still remember that as one of the most incredible experiences in my life. I had a very good time then. And I consider myself an honorary resident of London. Since then I've come many times, especially when I was young, at the time when, you know, in Spain it was difficult to get certain books or certain records or certain experiences or pieces of clothing. It was all wonderful, a great adventure, and it's something that I've kept, my love for London. And then, as you said, I was in a boarding school, I have to say a very, not mediocre one, but a very dump one, where, let us put it this way, you never grew fat. It was a fight for survival for the one sausage we got for 8 kids. So I went there when I was 14 and when I was 17. And well, it has been a dream come true for me to come back as an ambassador now, when I'm a white old man. So.
Now tell me, Brand Spain today, Monocle's had an amazing connection with Spain all across the history of the magazine. We've worked with your tourist board on many projects, and what's interesting for us is that we've tried to encourage people to get out into the country, to understand that there's Galicia, there's Extremadura. When you start telling the story of Spain to people, how difficult is it to encourage people to realise that it's such a complicated, diverse and rich nation?
Well, you know, every country's history is complicated and it's difficult to understand. Even here, I'm sure that I would ask some of my British friends, and they might have trouble describing the War of the Roses or what happened here with the Danelaw and things like that. It is true that Spain is especially diverse. Our monarchy has always been the monarchy of the kingdoms of Spain. It is a country that is many different countries, and that is one of its charms, geographically, culturally, linguistically in some cases. But I also think that there is a very strong underlying theme, and that everybody that goes to Spain, doesn't matter whether it's the Basque Country or Cadiz, they recognize it very quickly as Spain.
Well said.
Now tell me, when you go back to Spain, you were originally from Madrid, I believe. Where do you go for? We're not going to let them come to your actual hotel that you stay in. But tell us, where do you go for your summer vacation in Spain? Now this is really going to put you on the spot. This is a real diplomatic moment because you're going to have to name quite a few places. But where do you head to for your personal travel in Spain?
Now
You're going to name every region now, aren't you?
No, because I think that is, that is chickening out, and I'm not going to chicken out. I love Cadiz, and I go whenever I can. I take a few weeks sitting on a beach in Cadiz, just looking out to the sun setting, because Cadiz is one of the few provinces with Huelva that looks out to the Atlantic, so I can see the sunset. And I spent 3 weeks doing nothing, having wonderful food, and in a province that has fantastic people, fantastic beaches, fantastic nature. So I go to Roche, Cadiz. I will say that straight away.
And finally, for Madrid, tell us the city that must pull you back again and again for work as well. There's this rivalry between all the big Spanish cities. What makes Madrid special for you still today?
I'm a proud Madridian, although sometimes being from Madrid is like being from no place, because Madrid is very welcoming, it is very diverse, it's very inclusive, so it's not, sometimes it doesn't have the strong personality of some other cities. It's a melting pot, Madrid. But I'm a very proud Madridian because I think people are there, they are very welcoming, very accepting. It's one of the, people don't know that Madrid is the third conurbation in Europe. It is nearly 9 million people living in the big Madrid. So after London and size. It is the third conurbation in Europe. But it is very well communicated, has got great public transport, and what we call the almendra, the inner circle within the M30, the useful Madrid. You can actually walk it or bike it very easily. No place in Madrid is farther than 7 minutes from an underground station. And it is big enough to have a lot of cultural attractions and everything that you can look for, you can find it in Madrid. But at the same time, it is manageable. It doesn't overwhelm you. And also, another thing I would say about Madrid, it is that it is very friendly for walking. It is very fluid. You can walk easily from one place to the other. For me, I'm sorry to say, if it's my favorite city in Europe right now.
No, that's the end of the questions to me, but why don't we just take just one or two from the audience? Be brave, have a question. This is the ambassador. There's many Spanish people in the audience. I know there's many people connected to all the different regions of Spain. Who's going to be brave enough? I'll pass the mic to you, and there may be a gift for somebody who's particularly good at coming up and asking a question. Who's going to be brave enough to ask the ambassador? Here, let me pass you the microphone.
Hi, I am Isabel Martinez Monche from Barcelona, but not independent. And it's very true that Madrid is shining and is bubbling and is really it's kind of the epicenter of Spain right now. But I would like to share as a question for you and share with the audience. What do you think? Why are there so many people moving to Barcelona? I'm going to give you an example. There's a startup called Stay Ukio, which has a big funding now from Felix Capital. And they are attracting people from whoever, any of you who wants to live in Barcelona for 1 year, 2 years. And they have these amazing apartments. Which are the reasons you think that Barcelona is attractive for some Londoners here?
Well, I personally, I love Barcelona, and I've got so many friends there. Just the other day, I said hello to the president of the Círculo del Liceo, who was here because they are lending some paintings to this wonderful new exhibition opening at the National Gallery. And I was begging him, I was telling him, please find a lecture or something for me to do in Barcelona, so that I have an excuse to go to Barcelona. I love going there. It's a wonderful city. It is, in my opinion, in Madrid sometimes, I mean, not tourists, but for people like me, it is very hierarchical. You know, where everyone is placed, you know, in the totem pole. And Barcelona is a very free city, and people have got these freedoms surrounding them. It's very creative. They are doing a wonderful job there on the startups, on digital creation, ads, video games. It is, of course, a place where mobile telephone takes place every year. As you know, Spain approved last year legislation on digital nomad visas to make it easy for young people to go there with a very easy to get visa that has a lot of fiscal advantages, because you are not a permanent resident, you haven't committed yet. It is like friends with benefits. They're not taking this.
This is going out live in Spain as we speak.
You can be there for a year, you can work, and if you enjoy it really, well, then you can commit and get a residence visa. And we need people from this country that has so much startup talent, digital talent, to work there and cross-fertilize. That is it.
I'm feeling like a very poor man's Mick Jagger with this microphone running across the stage, but we have one more question here. Introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. My name is Bruce McMichael. I'm a UK-based food writer and educator, and I'm here with my son, behind the glasses over there, who's just about to apply for a master's in Madrid. So we're very keen on Spain.
I don't think you saw that.
That was just a try. There might be some. My question is if there's one thing that Spain can learn from England, or England, the United Kingdom, And if there's one thing the United Kingdom can learn from Spain, I would be intrigued to know what you think that is. Thank you.
That's a very difficult question. I think.
Can you think of anything?
Yeah, I think the answer is that there are tons of things that we should learn from each other and that we learn from each other every year. And with the amount of contact between the two societies and economies, we are learning from each other all the time. We have got a lot of companies, for example, working here, doing very good work and showing to parts of the economy here how things can be done effectively. And as this is a very open economy, they welcome them with open arms when they bring something to the table, which is not the case in many other places. The same for you in Spain. I think having an open economy and having an inclusive and diverse society as you have, and politics as you have, they are important lessons. I think that, frankly, Spain is also a very liberal, very tolerant, and very inclusive country. But you know, you are a shining example in that way. Nobody is perfect, of course. I'm not saying that you are perfect, but frankly, I think that any fair-minded observer would say that London is one of the most inclusive and tolerant cities in Europe and probably in the world, so that is something to learn. I think that everyone in Europe and certainly in Spain should learn from your financial sector and how it fits into a lot of private equity and venture capital that encourages innovation, and your science sector. Your great universities is something we should learn, because you should always copy best practices. And as ambassador here, I cannot say what you should learn from us. It would sound patronizing, but I'm sure that there are some good lessons that we can teach, because otherwise it wouldn't come in such huge numbers.
Exactly. We're going to take one final question, because the ambassador did warn me that he has a dinner to go to. Although I'm not sure if I believe him, because it's only 7:20 in Spain. Is any Spanish person going for dinner for another 2 hours? Seems tricky to me. One last question here, Amy.
Hi. For someone who is maybe moving to Spain, not me, don't worry, maybe starting a business or, trying to find a home in Spain, what advice would you give them to kind of set up shop and get to know the community and be open to Spanish lifestyle and culture?
Well, it all depends where you are moving to and what are you planning to do. It's not the same going to a big town, one of the capitals of Spain, a small place, all that. But I would say, as always, you have to meet people. You have to be very open at the start. You have to make an effort. Sometimes I speak to Spanish diplomats who tell me, not here in the UK, but in other countries, they are very closed in this country, it is so difficult to make friends. And I always ask them, have you made the effort to invite people to take the first step? When you arrive in a place, you've got to take the first step. And also you've got to try to understand and have empathy. You cannot look for great opera in Johannesburg. I was, for example, for 3 years. But you can get experiences and see things and very valuable things that you are not going to experience in other places. So you have to know also what the place is going to give you. And as I think it is Rabindranath Tagore who says, you shouldn't try for the moon because it will stop you from seeing the stars. So that would be my advice. And I want to close, if you allow me, Andrew, first of all, by thanking you all. You're a wonderful audience. You have you shot at me from the hip, and to say that I had an opportunity to peruse the book, and it is really a fantastic book. You have done really a very good job, and I'm still in a copy before I. Thank you.
Thank you to the ambassador. What a great sport. And also, the head of the Cervantes organisation is here as well. So if you want to sign up for Spanish lessons tonight, you can do that. The head of the tourist board is here as well. He'll book you on a flight before you leave this evening, so you can do all that. Then the other thing is, at the moment, this is like these two gentlemen are modelling a very nice kind of Hamon station at the moment. But this is going to be turned into a book signing table. So if you want the books damaged by me or by any of the other team, we will do a nice signature and sign it for somebody. But for now, thank you so much, and thank you all of you for coming tonight to see us here.